That's a good question.
Those are significant milestones.
Oh, that's a great question. It was incredible. Welcome to the Queen's Coaches Show presented by OrthoCarolina. I'm here once again with my coach, Coach Childers.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's going great. How are you?
Good. I'm doing great. We have had a fantastic spring season so far. Give us a sum up.
Well, we'll start with the women's team because that is kind of where all the action's been lately. Our women's team is, which you're a part of, you've been a part of. We've had 2 straight victories for the first time in program history, which is exciting. We're playing some historically good golf. So it's been fun to watch. Me and Coach K just watching from the sidelines, trying to coach you guys up. It's been a blast. I know he's been really loving it. He's been a part of this program on and off for about 10 years. And so it's just really cool to see. I mean, you guys work so hard. And so it's really cool to finally see, once we got the season started, all of this hard work paying off. I mean, we had 2 months, almost 2 full months when you guys came back from break of really grinding practice and some brutal weather, a lot of indoor practice. But when we finally got kick-started down in Florida, we had Jillian, one of our freshman players, making history as our first winner individually as a Division I program. And then the very next week, Grace does it individually, another freshman on our squad. And then that was our first team win in almost a decade. First team win as a Division I program. We also beat 5 other schools that were ranked ahead of us, so our ranking just skyrocketed. We're now ranked inside of the top 150, which is exciting. And then just last week, back-to-back victories for the first time in school history. So we're pumped. At Georgia State, we had a really good tournament. We made it interesting at the end, but we beat another couple conference foes there too. So it was great to kind of see as a coach how we would stand up against some other schools that we'll be facing here in a couple weeks at our conference championships. And we blew them out of the water. We had a really good week. So I'm liking our chances. We're on fire right now. I mean, I wish we had a tournament this past weekend. I wanted to just keep it going. But it was a good week off to get some rest, and then now we have a really, really good opportunity coming up in Athens, Georgia this week. The University of Georgia, the Bulldogs are hosting, and they've been gracious enough to invite our program. And so we're facing a lot of big schools such as Alabama, South Carolina, Missouri, San Diego State. Obviously Georgia the host, and so some big programs, so a chance to even more put us on the map, which we already have done really well so far this season.
Let's start off with those 2 freshmen.
Yep.
Jillian Fatkin, the first D1 individual win in Queen's history. 2 ASUN Player of the Week. What's it like to bring in that kind of talent?
Yeah, I mean, it's really a credit to the former coach Ashley for doing a great job at recruiting, and it was kind of just up to me and Coach K to not screw it up. But we have a really good roster, and those 2 have just kind of been leading the way, which is wild as freshmen. But I think it's really rubbed off on the rest of the program when you see players like that playing at such a high level. I think when I grew up, my dad always wanted me playing against players that were always better than me. Hang out, play with your friends, but try to hang out with the players that and play up against the players that are much farther along than you are. And it just tends to rub off on you. And I think that's kind of, we've kind of seen what it's done with the rest of the squad. I think you're playing some of the best golf you've played in your career, which is exciting to watch. Maria Bay is playing by far the best golf she's played in her career. She's with back-to-back top 10s for the first time in her college career. EC is playing some really good golf as well. And then obviously Grace and Jillian kind of leading the charge as freshmen. It's just exciting to see just 2 young bucks out there kind of setting the tone and making, I think it gives the whole team every time we show up to a tournament now, like we kind of feel like we have a chance to not only be in contention and have a good week, but to win a golf tournament. We now feel like you guys, I can sense it. You have that belief now that when we pull into a course and to a tournament, we're showing up is that, our focus is we don't have goals of top 8 or top 5. We're like, we can win this thing. And so I expect us to show up and contend each and every week, especially with those 2 leading us. And you guys are falling right in behind. And you had your first college top 10 at Howard's tournament, which was awesome to see. We had 4 of our 5 girls in the Howard's tournament. in the top 10. So it's just awesome to see. You guys are you're a joy to be around. You're fun to be around. Winning helps everything, but it's just fun to show up and know that we're kind of the team to beat.
Those two freshmen, what do they do differently that we should all be chasing?
Sure. I mean, their work ethic is pretty evident. They are obsessed with it. They're obsessed with the game. They truly love the game. They're waking up before class, going to the hitting room, doing drills. A lot of times they're setting the tone. They're the first at practice, but they're fun. I think from the skill level that they have, they're such good players that it gives the supporting cast like yourself, Maribe, EC, even the players that have kind of been at home, Kendall, Maria, Jackson, Olivia, they're going up. You guys are competing against each other every day at practice. So you're competing against players that are really good. So it's really elevated everyone's game and everyone's skill level. So it's just taken the program to just kind of a new step and a new expectation. And it's really, I kind of it's my job really not to get in the way. And I think you guys listen really well. We have a ton of different things and requirements drill-wise to do at practice every day. You guys you put your head down, you put in the work, and it's really flourishing. It's really showing now that we're in the middle of the season.
Well, you talked about conference coming up pretty soon. What would you like to see our team do to prepare best for conference?
Yeah, so we're at Hampton Cove, Robert Jim Jones. So a couple girls have already played there before, so we have some experience returning there. I've played there myself. Coach K has also played there himself. So it's a place that we should feel familiar. So I expect kind of some of the girls that have played there before to maybe, when we get there and start preparing for the event in Alabama, that some of leaders like yourself can go to the two freshmen, Jillian and Grace, and be like, hey, here's what we've seen in years past. Here's how the golf course has played. We had a conference call this morning with the ASUN, with the women's side, and we kind of got a little bit of a preview of how they're going to be setting up the golf course, which is fantastic. So I'm confident. I really do feel like the way we're playing, we're the team to beat. I think with Robert Trent Jones and Hampton Cove, you kind of got to be, to me, you can hit it in a lot of different areas. So it's really going to be a big time second shot golf course for us, of missing it in the right spots, of places where we can have easy up and downs when we do miss it. Taking advantage of the holes that you need to birdie, you need to have, for sure pars on, have good birdie looks. And mainly for us, I think it's going to be taking care of the par fives, diving into some of our statistics. If we can, we've had some success, but if we can be a little bit better on the par fives, that's where really we could see kind of maybe have a really good chance to win conference. But I think, I would consider us, I know I'm a little biased, but I would consider us the favorites. There's a lot of really good teams in our conference, but I truly believe in you guys. I believe we're playing just as good as anyone else in our conference right now.
EC, my travel roommate, is graduating in May. Such a heartbreak for me. How are you going to replace somebody like her?
Yeah, we've got some things in the works. Obviously, as a coach, logistically, I got to be a little bit active in the portal this year. But she's going to be. Hopefully, I can replace someone statistically like her. Play a little Moneyball. If anyone's seen that movie, play a little bit of that. But it's going to be very difficult to replace EC from a personality standpoint. She is super fun to be around. She's hilarious. She's a joy to coach. I really love her attitude and the way she's grown from the fall of me and her trying to get to know each other. From a coaching standpoint to now, I feel like we've all found a really good groove. I kind of know what some of the girls like on the course, how they like to be coached. EC is very independent. She likes just a little bit of info here and there. But she likes to be on her own a lot, and so I've come to respect that and give her some info when she asks for it. But she's a joy to be around, so it's going to be very difficult to replace someone that's that fun to be around. So, but I'm confident that we can try at least. We'll give it our best shot.
What's it like coaching all these different kinds of personalities, you could say, in golf, men's and women's?
Sure.
People who I like having a coach walk along with me, and then somebody who's a bit more independent, like EC.
Yeah, I think that's the fun part of that's the challenging part about coaching is, especially with coaching golf is such an individual sport. So you have, we can say we're a team, but at the end of the day, when we split and go to our different holes and we're playing we're on a shotgun playing 36 holes in a day, you're out there a lot of the times by yourself for 9 to 12 holes at a time. And so I try to walk with each one of you, and there's some players that really love a coach being there with each shot like yourself. And then there's some players like an EC who's just like, hey, I just want you to be there, maybe just help me on the par threes. Be there, give me a club, let me know how everybody's doing, and we can go from there. So it is a challenge, but I feel like we've gotten into a really good groove, me and Coach K, at each tournament, of kind of knowing what you guys like, what you guys don't like. And these past 2 events, I think, has really shown that in putting you guys in a situation where you feel the most comfortable so that you can play your best golf.
Okay, now let's switch over to the men's side. Give us a little bit of a recap of their semester so far. Yeah,
it's kind of, it's obviously not as well as we'd like to have played, but, we're finishing middle of the pack every tournament. So kind of the story that's been with us is that we play really well in the first round, and then we get to the afternoon round on Mondays, which a lot of people don't realize. When we play at these college tournaments, we play 36 holes, and so 36 holes on Monday and then 18 on Tuesday. So we're out there warming up in the dark, and then we're also fighting to finish before sundown, before you can't see anymore. So it's a long, grueling day of about 10 to 12 hours sometimes that first day.
The question we get the most is, don't you have a lunch break?
Yeah, I deliver the lunches to the players, and you keep going. And most of the time, especially later in the spring, you're walking those 36 holes. So physically, it's a grueling long day. But for the men's team, we've kind of we've seen some success in the first round, where we're in contention. We put ourselves in a good spot. We don't shoot ourselves out of it the second round, and then the final round, we kind of lose a little bit of steam. But I'm really excited about this upcoming week. We're playing kind of a home game. We're going to be commuting to Kannapolis at Irish Creek, which is a tournament we've had success there in the past. And so a lot of our guys know the golf course. And I think specifically we have Thomas Taylor Cross playing some of the best golf of his career. I think he would have even better season if he wasn't hurt the first tournament. But he's had a top 10 and almost cracked the top 10 at a really difficult golf course at ECU's event. Dean's playing some of the best golf of his career. He should have won at Surf Club, and we talk about that a little bit, but I think he's learned a lot from that event, being in contention and being right there. So I think we have multiple guys that are playing some really good golf. Reese McElroy, which is not related to Rory McIlroy, but it shows up on every leaderboard as R. McElroy. So I get friends text me all the time, did you sign Rory? No, I did not. But he is really kind of coming into form. He's really started playing some of the best golf, I think, of his college career, kind of. I expect some really good things out of him. So I think we have multiple guys coming into the last half of the season playing some solid golf. I mean, we have 2 events left. If we can just kind of get everyone on the same page, and we usually typically have 1 to 3 guys playing some really good golf, and we've had to count a score that's been kind of tough. So I'm confident that we have the talent to do some special things these last 2 events, and the way everyone's trending in their own games, I'm confident we can have a good week in the next couple, 2 to 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm. What's it like to see a guy like TTC get an injury right before, literally in a practice round of an event, had Brad fly down to play as the 5th spot, and then bounce right back to play some of the best golf he's ever played?
Yeah, it's been exciting to watch. I mean, he's an awesome guy. He's an awesome young man. He works really hard at it. He's really, and you can kind of see it if you really know him. He's really taken his physical shape, conditioning really seriously this semester. He's a very skinny guy, but he's gained a lot of weight, muscle mass. He's hitting it as far as he's ever hit it. He's hitting it as solid as he's ever hit it. He's just working really hard at it. And he's always been a really hard worker, but he's just, I think, paying a little bit more of attention to detail, and it's just been awesome to see. I mean, it was a bummer to not have him for our first event. Halfway through the practice round, he gets a calf injury that kind of comes out of nowhere, and it's kind of a freak thing. So that was definitely unfortunate, but he really picked up right where he left off, and he was already playing some of the best golf going into that tournament, but he really kept the gas pedal down, and his work ethic's just been incredible. He's been working really hard at it, and then it showed at at ECU's event. It showed at Surf Club, finishing in the top 10. I believe he finished 6th there, which was his best collegiate finish to date so far. And then picked up right where he left off and almost finished in the top 10 at ECU at a course that really just ate everybody alive. So he is playing some awesome golf. I expect some amazing things. Seeing him in practice over the last few weeks, since we've had the event at ECU, he's just playing some of the best golf of his career. So I expect him not only to have a good week next week with a course that he's familiar with, but I expect him to be in contention. I mean, he knows this golf course. He's hitting it as good as anyone. If he can get some putts to drop, then I expect him to be right there individually at the top of the leaderboard.
Absolutely. Well, we wish TTC and the rest of the guys the best of luck at the ASUN conference. Thank you so much for talking with me today.
Thank you, Carolyn. Always a pleasure.
We'll be back soon.
The first question out of a kid's mouth is, when can I get back to doing what I want to do?
So in 2019, I was in class and I was doing a jump that I've been doing since I was maybe 6 years old. And my foot went one knee, my knee went the other, and my knee dislocated. It amazes me how I went through what I went through and I was still able to continue my dreams.
From the bluegrass of Kentucky, the Arkansas River, to the beautiful beaches of Florida. From the bustling streets of Nashville, to the soulful sounds of Muscle Shoals and its vibrant cities. Fueled by growth, the Atlantic Sun operates in the fastest growing region in America and broadcasting in over 20 million homes. We're everywhere you want to be, with access to 9 of the nation's top 80 media markets, including
collegiate experience from public to private to faith-based. All of our member institutions are located in the top 30 states with the most rapid growth, including 8 members located in the top 6. From the beaches to the mountains, the Atlantic Sun is the destination.
The Eats on East project showcases the Royals pride that spreads through East Boulevard, walking distance from Queens University campus. Royals fans and visitors are encouraged to take a walk to the legendary East Boulevard to culminate the true Queens experience at a variety of restaurants. Home of the Coaches Show, JJ's Red Hots was the first East on East partner. The movement quickly grew as other partners joined, including Lebowski's, Showmars, Jersey Mike's, Rick's Pizza, Kid Cashew, and Penguins Drive-In. The Eats on East partners proudly support Queens and its mission to create and connect fans and families.
Before a city turns to you for answers, before the stories that need telling are told, and our nation's biggest companies look to you to make their next big move. Whenever, however, you're called upon to step up, Queens will prepare you to do just that. Because here, Royals rise.
Welcome back to the Queens Coaches Show presented by OrthoCarolina. I'm here with the head swim coach. How are you doing, Coach?
Good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good.
You guys just added another trophy to the already decorated trophy case upstairs, an ASUN conference win. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's very exciting. We wanted to, and we were given the task by our athletic director to once again flip our role. When we started swimming 15 years ago, the goal was to lead the way and kind of cross the thresholds to show that it can be done in all different settings. So when we did that in D2 and won our first championship, we then saw eventually up to 17 sports make the NCAA. So when we went Division I, Sherry had approached me and said, can we do the same thing in Division I? So we put forth a recruiting effort to then win our first conference championship. We did it. It allowed us to show that it can be done, and it can be done sooner than we expect. And as you're seeing in women's golf and everything that's going on, it keeps everything going. And so our men also a week before the conference got to see our first Hall of Fame class get inducted from our first championship. And they told me that was inspiration, that they wanted to perform at a level worthy of being inducted into the Hall of Fame someday. And so they took it, they really put it on their shoulders and said, we can do this. The women were outstanding as well, but we didn't have diving yet in the women. And so what happens is we can't overcome that right now, but we're working on that this year.
Tell us what it's like to see a team be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
It's amazing. It's a transformational experience because it's at this time now, a lot are married, a lot have children, and for them to be able to see mom and dad in a different light 10 years later, sometimes it happens in more years, but at 10 is at the minimum. But what happens is they get to see that it's that wow. It's like, wow, I mean, you did that. And for us, what was so transformational is that they are so successful as doctors, as veterinarians, as PAs, as physical therapists, as businessmen and women, that they are now talking about everything they learned to perform on demand in both the classroom and in the pool, in the different areas, that they're now transitioning that into their real life with their families. And so they talk about their new championships, like buying a new car, buying a house, their first house, doing the things, but they say they go about the same goal setting, they go about the same mindset. Their new team is their family. And they always have the support of their old team too, but it's really fun and rewarding to sit and celebrate that and talk about how it's all fitting in and working just perfectly.
That's a good point you make. As a head coach, do you see a lot of that formation of what an athlete makes of themselves later?
Absolutely. With the swimming program, our vision is we exist to build leaders for life. When you leave, you're a leader built for life. We do it around 6 core values, but then we also have an exit strategy to differentiate ourselves. And we want to leave Queens global-minded by surrounding ourselves with talented and people who think different than us, who are from different parts of the world. We want to be agile in our thinking, decisive in our decision-making. Those help us while we're in the classroom and in the pool and later in life. We want to have a strong business acumen and be civic-minded. And if we can do that and talk about that in our interviews and be able to differentiate ourselves, we're seeing people already being offered jobs as seniors before they even graduate. We're seeing people telling me that their interviews are being stopped and saying, you got the job if you want it. But then when you are that comfortable with your experiences, it just starts to carry on in the life, the confidence you have with your spouse, your partner, your family, and parenting. And anything scary doesn't make you run from it. It makes you run to it and handle it.
Absolutely. What was it like to coach a D2 team and then switch to D1 and now coach an ASUN conference team?
Well, so a little bit different in swimming, and Coach Blake talked about a little bit about the individual sport versus the team sport. We're individual, but measured as a team. And what happens is when we created our team 15 years ago, we created it for a little different than most universities. Most universities, it's the NCAA championships, conference championships, and then whatever else. We had permission, but created our program to be the Olympic Games first, then and then any world championships, then the NCAA, and then the conference. And when you recruit that type of athlete that can compete at the Olympic Games, and we've won a gold medal in either the Olympics or Paralympics every year since 2012. And so what happens is we've been able to, when you have that type of athlete, we didn't have to do much of a transition or in the reclassification. We were already at that level. And so that has helped a lot. So we've been able to fit right in.
A lot of your swimmers now are training, they're technically in off season, but they're training for some of their championships to go back home. What's it like to coach them outside of Queens?
Yeah. So one of the things about swimming, which is sometimes monotonous, is unlike other sports, we're always in season from start of school to the end of school. It says in the rule book, the last day of finals is when you're now out of season. So sometimes we give them breaks, sometimes we don't. But when we have dedicated swimmers training for the World Championship Games, for the different, in fact, I leave to Greece in May for the Greek Nationals. We have probably going to Berlin for the World University Games. One of our coaches is going to Singapore for the World Championships. So we have somebody representing Queens on the global stage at every step of the way. So it is nonstop. Unfortunately, we don't really ever have a time off. but that's what swimmers are usually used to that.
So you get to travel to some of these events. Are you often recruiting while you're there?
We are going for recruiting, and then we see our swimmers there that are competing. But yes, that's many times how we've gotten some of our best swimmers.
How many NCAA championships rings do you have?
I've been a part of 30 and have, I think, 25 in the case.
Wow. Wait, that's more fingers than you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I don't have, but we just bought it, and since the Hall of Fame, we just bought a new case. But I've been very blessed to be. No way or no form was I've either swam or consulted or coached a part of over 30 national championships.
Wow. So you came from Auburn,
yep.
Right? And then what did you do after that? How'd you end up here?
So we had 12 national championships at Auburn. Mm-hmm. And then I went 13 years in pharmaceuticals. And then I came out and we won 14 championships here. But then in the process, in 2016, I was asked to start triathlon. So I hired Sonny Dyer and we went to work in building a triathlon team, which won 6 championships as well. And then he just won another 3 in his 3rd consecutive in club with Miles at the helm. And so, and then I've recently transitioned out of 2 years ago, out of triathlon, of overseeing that. But again, no way did I coach them on a daily basis, but one of my strengths I feel is maybe not the X's and O's, but I can put together good teams. Mm-hmm. And that's what we at Auburn, very similar to starting the program here. When I was asked to become the recruiting coordinator, we were last in the SEC. And so we came up with a very silly thing to say, we'll win SECs in 4 years and win our first championship in 5. Well, we won in 4 in the conference championship, and then the first of 19, and then won our first national championship after that. And then when we started this program, we said, why not stay silly and say we'll win in our first championship in 5 years after we started. And someone said, how can you do that if you don't even have a pool? And so we didn't have a pool for the first 3 years of our existence. But it's about the vision. It's not about the facility. Just we could go travel around and get it. But so we've been able to put together some really strong teams.
What would you say the similarities between coaching triathlon and then swimming?
Well, again, Sonny did the coaching at triathlon, but here's the similarity to, I'm going to expand on that if I can, to corporate, mm-hmm. to triathlon, to rugby, to anything and everything we've ever won a championship in, is high performance is mindset. And if you have a growth mindset and a mindset to perform at the highest level, whether you're in sales, you start to see it. And I start to find myself in the same coaching battles when I was leading the sales training department or doing some of the different things I was leading in pharmaceuticals, that I would sit there and go, wait a second, I'm seeing similarities that you're a top 1%er, and I saw with my Olympians when we were at Auburn. And then when I got out and started to see in other sports, I would start to say, could we duplicate this? And when we started saying, I went to Sunny, at first they said, we need triathlon just to help us build our enrollment. And I said, I may not be the right person for this, because will you give me, because I think I perform better in high performance and enrollment. So will you give me a chance to do it both? And Sunny was exactly the right coach for the right program. And we quickly put together a program that performed and was unique in filling the enrollment needs. And that's what I think it's all about, a mindset. Even at the Paralympic level, Hannah Aspen, one of our multi-time gold medalists, she was as courageous, as tough as anybody because of her mindset with only one leg. So I never had to adapt anything because she would be doing it without even asking. And some people would go, oh, let me help her. And I'm like, stay away. Do not try and help her. She can do it as well as you or better.
What part of her mindset would you like to see in your swimmers you have now?
Oh, the absolute ability to see past anything that would be seen as a barrier. To see the barrier maybe as in the peripheral view as an object or an issue, but to see way past what great looks like and how you're going to get through it. And that's what every one of our great athletes has been able to do. They work backwards from what great looks like versus moving towards great. Mm-hmm. They already define what great looks like. When I see an Olympic gold medalist, they will tell me what that gold is going to feel like. They'll tell me what a medal will feel like. I've never heard somebody tell me that they had no clue and they're super surprised they won. It almost sounds cocky to the other people watching, but they can tell me, I knew I was going to win, and I knew I was going to medal. I knew I was going to raise the flag and the national anthem was going to go. I knew exactly. So it's always that vision is the key.
We had the opportunity to meet Katie Ledecky at one of our events, and she had talked about you just trust your training. And I guess that goes across every sport, but would you say that is the same?
That's absolutely correct. Katie's a phenomenal athlete, and she's raced here in Charlotte quite a few times. And one of the things Katie's exactly right on is I have to remind sometimes our swimmers is that when you paid the tuition here, you hired me as your coach. So you got to trust what we're going to do. We've been there, we've done that, so it won't be a surprise. We know how to do it. And because sometimes when you come in as a freshman, you want to say, this is the way I used to do it. This is how I did it in high school. But now you got to think differently. Yeah, trust the process. Anything. When you're working with somebody like our broadcasting crew here and our head of our production and with Jim, knowing his experience with Olympic Games and ESPN, when you trust him, then it's easy to do what you do. And I've watched you bloom with confidence, and really where you planted your feet, you've just grown incredibly. But that's you trusting the process. And you're also a golfer, and you're also a student, and you're also all these other things. But that's what you get.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's run with mentality for a little bit, though. At the conference, ASUN conference, you guys were leading after the first 2 days. In the third day, you guys fell to second, but then won again in the last day. What was the mentality going into the final day?
Well, it was amazing. And by now, unfortunately, some people know how we fell behind is we accidentally had a DQ. We had somebody enter the water a 50 early on the 800 free relay, which everything. But what happened is, first of all, let's start with Matthias's mentality is he came over, he apologized. I said, no need to apologize. He said, what do we do next? And I said, very easy. Forgive yourself. And move on, right? And move on and get yourself going. He did exactly that, got second, freshman of the year, got second in the 200 breaststroke the next day, which was key. So then the next thing was the seniors who have won D2 national championships already came through and said, Coach, we've got this. And I said, tell me, how are you going to tell your teammates how we got this? You're right, we've got it, but how are you going to tell them? And one of the things is once you start winning in a mentality, you know how to win, right? The team that is in the head will get scared. And they don't know how to win, so it's going to be more lucky than not. So we sat there and said, a team that doesn't know how to win will make mistakes. So sure enough, first event, they make mistakes. We then put 8 people into the finals of the 100 free, so we score 100 points on them. Then we go into the mile where they're going to score 50 some on us just because of our depth. And I told our team, this is how you know when they're scared, is they will try to go 1, 2, 3 in a mile. You can't do that in a mile. So sure enough, 500, they're 1, 2, 3. I'm like, just hold on. 600, they're 1, 2, 3. 700, they're 7, 8, 9, because now they've gone out way too fast trying to get all the glory and try to get that because they want that win and they couldn't do it. And so that's what happens is without that pathway or that mentality of knowing how to do it and staying calm and collecting the little wins, our team just took over at that point.
Mm-hmm. Right after the ASUN conference, some of your team went to the National Invitational Championship.
Yep.
Tell us what that event's about.
Yeah, that's the National Mid-Major Championship. Right now it's called the NIC, National Invite Championship, but I truly believe it's going to become the NCAA Mid-Major National Championship. Not unfortunately, but fortunately for us, we also see some of the Power 5 there, Ohio State, Kentucky, some of the different Power 5s. But this championship is really forming to become a mid-major championship, so more like-minded of how most mid-majors are outside the Power 5s. So, or Power 4s, sorry. So we can only bring 12 swimmers there. NCAAs, we can only bring 18. But we bring 12 of our best swimmers that have to qualify with NCAA type times. And we went, our men got second to Ohio State, and our women got 4th behind Akron, Rice, and Kentucky. So.
Wow.
Yeah, and Abby Zobaran was the leading scorer on the women, and on the men's side, we won many events and broke a lot of records there. So.
What would you like to see your swimmers do to do it all over again next year?
No, just continue to compete in March. Know how to go. Know how to not to keep the mentality past conference. Conference is a very emotional meet, but you have 60 swimmers there. But then you go to 12 to 24 and it becomes 12 men, 12 women. It's not as exciting. And most of the teams, just like the NCAA championships, will be 1s and 2s and 4s and 5s, and we come in with full squads. But it's to keep that energy is kind of tough. So what happens is I want us to continue practicing under pressure and under stress so that we can move through conference and those emotional wins and keep focused and stay focused through March when we compete at the NCAA championships going forward.
How important was it for you guys to have a couple divers at the ASUN conference?
Critical,
as well?
critical. In fact, we have a meeting tomorrow in Huntersville with women to try and get women started as well. It is critical. In D2, it wasn't as critical because the way the events were, with the addition of the 1,000 freestyle, we could make up somewhere. But in D1, we have to be able to fill and score somewhere in the diving as well, the 2 diving events. The rules are changing for us in our conference this year, which is even going to make it better for us, is that as of this year, 3 divers counted as 1 swimmer just because of the 2 boards versus the 3 events plus relays. So this year we're going to be voting in platform diving because of the NCAA event. And so what will happen is a diver will count a half. So now that will probably, a team may bring 2 or 4 divers. If we can put in 2, we can offset a lot of points. But when you have a team going 1 through 6, they're scoring 100 points on you on every board. That's hard to overcome.
Mm-hmm. Have you looked at recruiting divers at all?
Yep.
Or? Okay.
We're recruiting them.
Nice.
We're recruiting them.
Thank you so much for talking with me today.
Thank you.
Enjoyed it.
Do you dive?
I do not.
Okay.
I play golf.
They translate. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you.
Thank you.
Every journey has a starting point. Each student has a moment when talent and passion meet opportunity. At the intersection of challenge and support, self-discovery fuels breakthroughs, and leaders emerge prepared for what's next. I grew up loving music. It possesses this very real, very unique power for connection and healing, and my journey as a music therapist took shape here.
I discovered the pool offered a more level playing field and the chance to push my limits. At Queens, there's so much opportunity, and our potential for greatness accelerates with every step of our collective journey.
I've always had a knack for chemistry, and that talent has magnified since I got here, rippling out in new directions. I'm not afraid to take risks. I believe challenges make us stronger, and innovation only comes when we're willing to lean into the unknown.
I'm still not sure what the future holds, but whatever it is, Queens has prepared me for it.
My professors push me in the classroom and believe in my abilities.
My coaches, professors, all of us, we're one team, one family.
Here, my voice is heard. I'm given the freedom to be myself and charter new opportunities for change.
Here, strength comes from within.
Practice makes perfect.
And curiosity knows no bounds.
I believe Queens graduates will create a better tomorrow. Where we go next? That's up to us.
Welcome to the Atlantic Sun, where heart-pounding moments are born and where champions rise above, where speed defies limits and precision finds its mark, where millions of fans nationwide cheer for excellence, determination, and fairness, where public, private, and faith-based schools compete side by side, fostering sportsmanship and unity. From the beaches to the mountains, the Atlantic Sun is the destination.
See all the Royals coaches live and in person during one of their many events held on the fields and courts of Queens University. All tickets for Queens home games can be purchased at queensathletics.com/tickets.
Welcome back to the Queens Coaches Show presented by OrthoCarolina. I wanted to thank Coach Childers and Coach Dugdale for talking with me today, and that's a wrap. Thank you so much.